You know, it is an honor to have Frank Tarentino join us today on The Warriors. Frank Tarentino is, we got to go through it, Frank, special agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration's New York division covering the state of New York. Mr. Tarentino is a 26-year veteran. You heard me right, 26 years of the DEA, having served diverse assignments to include foreign operations, multi-agency international investigations, and local impact initiatives in domestic offices. Frank Tarantino's experience has resulted, I want everybody to hear this, in a leadership style focused on dismantling drug trafficking organizations at all levels through local, state, federal, and international law enforcement trust, transparency, and partnership. You heard it right, collaboration. And yes, Warriors, I took this off of Frank's bio, but he's got so much great information on it and so much credibility. I want all of you to hear this, but there's more. Mr. Tarentino joined the DEA in 1998 after serving as an officer in the United States Army as an airborne ranger infantry officer. Mr. Tarentino achieved the rank of captain and was assigned to 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, United States Army Special Operations Command. The website, we have so much to discuss, but all of you, write this down. It'll be in the body of the video, is dea.gov. Very simple. It is full of free, great information, well vetted information you need to know. And today we're going to be talking about the epidemic of illicit fentanyl flooding our country. And if that's not enough, there is something new, relatively new, hitting the scenes. It's once, I'm hearing a lot about it in the streets of New York now. It was once considered a party drug, a club drug, pink cocaine. It's kind of now being mainstreamed. So, Frank Tarentino, we thank you, sir. Let's start with this, for your service, not only to New York, to our great country, the United States. You really are a warrior. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Lynn. Thank you for that very nice introduction. It's my absolute pleasure to join you here today on the Warrior Show, and happy to answer as many questions as possible.
Well, you know what? I'm beside myself because I'm like a fan. I don't know because I want this information to get into the hands of the parents, the grandparents,
Yeah.
the caregivers, the educators, community centers, places of worship, wherever we can spread this great knowledge. But before we start, because I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions for you, um, let's hear something, Frank Tarentino. What do you want to share about yourself? Anything you want. I mean, why the army or why law enforcement?
Mm.
Up to you, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lynn. I mean, I think for me, it's really always been about service and giving back to the community, to the people who have done so much for me in my lifetime, my family, certainly my friends. But in terms of the military and the Army and certainly the Ranger Regiment, it was always to strive for the highest possible goal, to achieve the greatest and most significant accomplishment, both personally and as a member of a team. So I've always strived to be a part of a unique team. And here in New York, we strive every day to build high functioning, high performing, high trusting teams. And to me, it's the teams that are the engine that gets the work done here in New York and across the country. And a team could be 2 people, it could be 5 people, it could be 10 people, it could be 100 people. But we have incredible teams here in New York. We have over 80 enforcement, regulatory, and intelligence collection teams that operate every single day to keep the citizens of New York and the United States healthy and safe. And that's what drives me every day.
I'm going to keep telling you, Frank. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, you really are the example of a warrior. You, your teams, the entire DEA. I saw you briefly back on August 21st. I was in Times Square. That was, the Fentanyl Awareness Day, the National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. And it was so heartbreaking to see family members and parents of children, on their T-shirts and holding signs and speaking out about all of this. And I looked around. It was a beautiful sunny day in the middle of Times Square. And I'm like, okay, we're in Times Square, right? We need everybody to stop, listen, pick up information, and start talking about this. What do you want to share about that day with us?
Well, Lynn, I think that what has become really our call to action and the most significant purpose-driven aspect of the work that we do today is the family, are the mothers and fathers, the sisters and brothers, the sons and daughters, the grandparents who have lost loved ones to this opioid crisis. Fentanyl is the primary driver of that crisis, and as you know, the numbers speak for themselves. 110,757 Americans in 2022, but in a 12-month period, 112,323 Americans' lives lost is just a number that we should not be willing to accept. And we work every single day here in New York to drive those numbers down, but also to connect with these families and to provide them an opportunity to share their stories so that we can learn and we can grow and we can improve the work that we do, but also so that we can get a better perspective of this impact, both positively and negatively. We try to provide these families hope, but we also want to, as I said earlier, learn from them, because it's because of them that we are committed to this work each and every day.
Yeah, that is the mission of the DEA. I would call that your mission overall. Let me ask you something. Okay, there might be warriors listening, Frank, who really don't know what fentanyl is.
Yeah.
So let's just break it down. What is your description? How do you describe this?
I mean, fentanyl, pure and simple, is the most deadliest drug that we have ever seen in drug law enforcement. It is a man-made synthetic drug, 50 times more powerful than heroin, 100 times more powerful than morphine. 2 milligrams is the lethal dose. We oftentimes provide a picture of a pencil, and on the tip of that pencil is 2 milligrams. But I always use the 10 to 20 grains of salt that you would pour out onto your kitchen table. That's a lethal dose of fentanyl. And when we talk about this crisis as something that is impacting, the entire United States and from a global perspective, this is a public health, public safety, and national security crisis, because too many Americans are being poisoned by this synthetic drug. Fentanyl is so addicting, Lynn, that these drug traffickers, these predatory criminal drug traffickers, are mixing fentanyl into everything. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to drive addiction. They want to make more money. They want to profit from this illicit business that they're involved in. And the more people that they can become or entice to become substance use dependent, the more money they can make. So fentanyl is mixed into essentially every illicit street drug. Fentanyl is mixed into cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine. It's in powder form, it's in pill form, it's in capsule form. It's being sold on the internet, it's being sold on social media, it's being sold in our city streets, it's in our schools, it's in our communities, it's everywhere. And fentanyl starts with a bunch of different precursor chemicals that originate in places like China and India. But predominantly, these precursor chemicals are coming from China and being shipped into Mexico, where these cartels, the two most, I would say, two most dominant cartels that are impacting this crisis, the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels, are the ones that are manufacturing and synthesizing this fentanyl into powder and pill form that's flowing into the United States in record numbers and ending up right here in New York. And it's that sinister behavior, that very calculated, deceptive behavior of selling the drug on the social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, that really is impacting our most vulnerable, our youth. And we really work hard to educate them, as you mentioned earlier, by providing them with the information that we'll talk about today. But that's fentanyl. And I think what we want Americans, specifically mothers and fathers, to understand is that there is no safe drug on the street today. There is no safe illicit drug that can be consumed in a recreational use because of this risk that fentanyl is mixed into everything.
So, Frank, would you say that's the biggest difference from, say, even 5, 10 years ago? Because now all of this, like illicit fentanyl is being mixed into everything, as you pointed out.
Absolutely, Lynn. I mean, this is a new drug landscape, something that we've never seen before. The synthetic man-made drugs have really proliferated the illicit drug market in a way that has changed drug consumption and manufacturing. I mean, the plant-based drugs will still exist, but when you think about the time and resources that it takes to essentially plant and cultivate and then transport that drug from the farm to the market. It's exponentially more difficult. And so when you think about the synthetic man-made drugs that are more cheaply and more easily, more efficiently made, and then delivered to the customer, it is definitely changed how we do our work, and it's made our work more difficult.
It's also upsetting, Frank, because we do a lot of work with the internet and digital safety and schools and focus groups and things like that. And we really have to blame it's so cheap, all of
Yeah.
this, as you pointed out, to manufacture, easily done, cheap. And the internet has really been a problem. And I think you'll agree with me. Nobody should be buying drugs of any type, including an aspirin, on the internet. What do you have to say about that?
That's absolutely correct, Lynn, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, what we tell people is very simply that if you do not receive a prescription from a trusted family doctor and you don't fill that prescription at a trusted, known pharmacy, then you should not use any drug that you get from the street or from social media, because that drug is almost always going to be laced with fentanyl. We seized 180 million fentanyl pills across the United States as an agency. The work that we do in our communities is life-changing, but it is never-ending. We seized 4.4 million pills last year here in New York, and roughly 1,200 pounds of fentanyl, enough to kill 38 million people here in the state of New York, which is twice the population of the state of New York. That's the kind of death and destruction that these cartels are wielding every single day, not just on social media, but on the internet, dark web, the dark net, and then of course on our city streets. And so what we do is we work with our state and local counterparts and obviously the community to help educate and conduct these operations to really intercede in every facet of the fentanyl supply chain from Mexico all the way here to the United States.
Wow, I'm glad you pointed that out, Frank, because I have things here like the 2024 fentanyl seizures represent over 292 million deadly doses. Did I write that? I don't even know if I wrote that down the correct way. I mean, 292 million? That's like close to almost, I mean, the United States has more people than that, but I can't even say that fact because that's almost the entire country. I want people to understand that even when you said 10 to 20, grains of salt, I can't even see 10 to 20 grains of salt. That's how potent this this poison is. I'm calling it a poison. I don't know if you call it a poison. I'm calling it a poison. Um, but is that correct? So we're in the hundreds of millions of this?
You're absolutely right. We're talking about, it is poison. It's 100% poison, and we're talking about really 380, almost 382 million lethal doses taken off the
Sure.
streets across the United States in 2022, and that is an astronomical number, and that is saving lives without a doubt. But when you talk about how reckless and irresponsible this behavior is, we as responsible law-abiding citizens cannot really come to terms with that. But these traffickers are really motivated and driven by greed and power, and so it's really a profit-driven business, and they don't care who they hurt. They do not care who they kill. When people ask us all the time, why would the drug dealer want to kill their customer? They really don't, but they don't care if they do, because the next customer is lined up right behind them. And there's enough people, unfortunately, who are substance use dependent right now that this is continuing to provide them with the profits that they seek.
Yeah. People will always say to me, why is this happening? And I'll say it's
Yeah.
always about money,
Yeah,
which that's really the bottom line, as you pointed out, Frank. It's profit driven business. They don't really care at all about somebody dies or a child or a teen.
that's right.
It's about money, and money drives everything, unfortunately. Frank, true or false? Fentanyl is the main killer of people 18 to 45 in the United
Uh,
States.
the leading cause of death right now, according to the CDC, between ages 18 to 45 is overdoses and poisonings. And then roughly 70, high 70 to 80% of that is driven by fentanyl. So you could say that fentanyl is the primary driver of the opioid crises and also the number one killer when you talk about this crisis.
Unbelievable. Also, so Frank, all of a sudden, I feel like it's all of a sudden with Sean Combs, aka
Yeah,
Diddy, as he's referred
yeah,
to in the entertainment business, we started hearing on more of a public scale about pink cocaine.
yeah.
It's been around for a while,
That's right.
and primarily they would call it a designer drug, I guess, because people mixed all kinds of things, concoctions together to create this pink cocaine. And, a dance drug, a club drug, all of that. But now we're really hearing, I think just in the last few weeks, a lot about pink cocaine. I've had a lot of people ask me about it. Please describe to us, what is this pink cocaine? If fentanyl isn't enough, now we've got pink cocaine to deal with.
Yeah, Lynn, there's a lot of information that exists around this pink cocaine. Pink cocaine is more of a slang street term that drug dealers and users have given to this synthetic man-made substance. What we refer to from a chemical perspective is 2CB, the number two, the letter C dash B. That's the chemical makeup of this drug. But that drug actually is not what we're seizing in our exhibits across the United States. When we think about pink cocaine, first of all, it's not cocaine. It's a synthetic man-made drug. It's oftentimes a combination or a cocktail of drugs that makes up the slang that you hear often, 2C, or this street club drug, also called Nexus or 2CB. This is really just a cocktail. It's MDMA, it's ketamine. It could be also a combination of MDMA, ketamine, and methamphetamine, or it could be a combination of those three plus fentanyl, which is really frightening. But again, it's called pink cocaine because they add pink food coloring or pink colored baking powder to this drug. It's not actually a pink cocaine like a pure white cocaine.
Right.
It's not cocaine at all. But I think people misunderstand that this is not necessarily widespread. It is gaining a lot of traction in the media, and as it should, because there is an increase. But when you think about our seizures, the DEA across the country, we've only seized about 960 total exhibits that have a pink color to it. Of those 960, Lynn, only 4 of them actually contain the 2CB chemical that I mentioned earlier. The rest of those, the 956 other substances or seizures, had other substances in them, like fentanyl, like MDMA, like ketamine, more like an LSD or a MDMA, hallucinogenic psychoactive substance. But again, it is gaining a lot of attention, and these traffickers know this. They know that they can take advantage of the marketability of pink cocaine. They know that people want it. They know that they can sell it for very high prices. It is a club drug. It is oftentimes more expensive than most street drugs, and so it is widely used in the club scene in major metropolitan cities like New York City, for instance. And it is a big concern because when you think about, as I said earlier, when you think about these drugs all now having the potential to have fentanyl in them, you now have people who seek a psychoactive drug that now is going to have, that's a stimulant. Now you're going to add a depressant like a synthetic opioid, fentanyl. And these people that are opioid naive are going to overdose and die. They're going to be poisoned, like we said earlier. And that's the risk that we face each and every day.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm glad. Glad's the wrong word with all of this, Frank, but at least it's getting out there, pink cocaine, so we can break it down to your
Yeah,
description of what we should, all these other, illicit drugs we should be focusing on and educate people. It's not this pretty pink cocaine, you kind of thing.
right.
I'm concerned because, when I first was talking about pink cocaine a little bit, Frank, it's a colorful pink. And believe it or not,
Yeah,
like that appeals to kids because it's
sure.
pink, nothing
Yeah,
else. It's pink. It looks pretty. It sounds very elementary, but that's the truth because we saw that with the marijuana. The
yeah,
packaging was kid friendly and colorful. And I'm very scared about our schools. Is there anything you want to weigh in about our schools and all of this? Because I'm here in New York City and I, hear cartels are hiring American kids to distribute their drugs. Anything you want to share on this or any facts about any of this?
Well, very simply, these drug trafficking organizations, the cartels specifically, are really deliberate, calculated, and treacherous in their approach. We call it the criminal version of Amazon because they are able to use and harness and weaponize social media and other platforms to push their poison to the most vulnerable, our kids. And they market it in a way that is appealing, as you mentioned. They do add different types of colors and or different identifiers on these drugs that do appeal to young people, and they brand it in a way that young people want to buy it. It's attractive, it's exciting, it's new, and so we are trying every day to educate the public and to really provide the information to those educators, those caregivers, those moms and dads, all the people in the community who want to help. We try to give them our information, our data, our statistics, our facts, our PSAs, so that they can really just inform as many people as possible so that more people are aware. And that's what you're doing today, and we appreciate that. But this is a never-ending battle, and we've done a lot in recent months in New York City public schools. We're getting into as many schools as we can to educate them, to share our stories, to hear from them, to answer their questions, and to provide them with the information that they seek.
Yeah, that's exactly, in my opinion, what's needed to get in with the kids and to almost make it cool. If we have a lot of kids that start pushing back or talking about it, I believe other kids, then there's power in numbers, will start, educating about it. DEA.gov, everybody. Again, everything will be in the body of this video. There's also DEA.gov / New York, because I want everybody to use facts, not misinformation or things you hear from other people, right?
Yeah.
We want facts, we want truths, we want the correct information, and that's going to be directly from the DEA. Frank, how do you how should we be talking to parents about all of this? Because a lot of parents are like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't
Yeah.
want to open up a can of worms. If I bring it up to my child, maybe then they'll go try it. What's the approach to in this overwhelmed environment we seem to all be living in lately, the last couple of years? How should we be talking to parents about all of this? Caregivers.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's one of those many difficult conversations that we often have as parents. I'm a parent of 3 children, and those conversations range from everything that you can think of, specifically around social media. There's a lot of discussion around the different things and information that's on social media. But when we talk about drug trafficking, we talk about the dangers, the risks of fentanyl, of overdoses and poisonings. I think it's parents' just willingness to have that difficult conversation with their children and just don't assume that they are doing the right thing. I mean, we trust our kids and we love our kids, but we also have to recognize that they're kids and that they're going to make, choices that, are not going to be as well informed and well intended as we would as adults. And so we have to really wrap our arms around them and educate them and prepare them for these risks, these dangers that exist, that are lurking behind these monikers on social media. The anonymity of social media really does allow these traffickers, and we call them predatory drug traffickers, because they are predators. They are lurking in these different sites so that they can really entice young people to buy their products. And what we want parents to know is that there's a coded language that kids have. They know this probably already. I learn it every day, that there's different terms that children use, that young people use. But in the drug trafficking world, that coded language on social media platforms means something, and it usually means something sinister. And so we want parents to know what that language looks like. So to your point, we've provided a coded language on our website on dea.gov /1pill. You can download the emoji code that we have seen, and that changes pretty frequently, that these drug traffickers are using to sell their product. And again, I just think that having the conversation isn't enough. You have to have that conversation often, and you have to be willing to look at some of the social media posts that your kids are involved in, and you have to be mindful that sometimes they unknowingly are befriending these traffickers who again are hiding behind this cloud, this screen of anonymity, and really just bad intentions all the way around.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Frank, because we do at the Warriors a lot of work, legislation, um, all bipartisan, right? With all of these issues, and also about digital safety. And I use that emoji chart that changes
Great.
almost on a daily basis because
Yeah.
I started a while back because a mother said to me, "Oh, look how cute my daughters these little messages they send to each other." And I said, "You know what? I don't think so," because I had just been to DEA.gov, so I saw it made me very aware that yes, they don't even use words; they're using little pictures. Everybody, so we'll have all of this information in the body of this video,
Great.
and also, of course. Also, because I'm very determined, Frank, to have real information, good
Yeah.
information, easy lifting for people so they can have the emoji chart, tuck it away on their phone or something like that. And we also know, I have to say it, Frank, with our work we do, these predators are on every platform. There is no exception. It's wherever the
Yeah.
kids are, that's where they are to make a buck. So I'm glad you pointed out as parents, it's a different environment. It's a
Yes.
different everything. We have to be on top and have the conversations. It's much different. My kids are all in their 30s now, they just missed all of this actually,
Yeah.
basically. It's like 30 and under has been born in this bubble of all of this. So finish us up with, is there something on the horizon in addition to all of this we should be aware of? What are the final words? And really, how can the public help you in the DEA?
Um, okay. So first, and what's on the horizon? I think that we will, in the near future, in foreseeable future, be battling these synthetic drugs, specifically these synthetic opioids like the nitazines, like the carfentanyls that are really, really dangerous because they're always trying to evolve. Drug traffickers, as we have said many times now, are motivated by power and greed, and so whenever they can exploit a weakness or a vulnerability, they're going to take advantage of that. And so we're always trying to stay ahead of that curve, but it's difficult because they have unlimited resources and certainly no guardrails up, no restrictions, and sort of no oversight like we have. So we fight that every day, and we're making significant progress. So what we say in DEA, and specifically here in New York Division, is that the New York Division, our leaders, our agents, we're dealers in hope. We're providing hope to communities, to families each and every day through the work that we do. When we target a significant organization or a significant drug trafficker, we have a high level of success in this area. We've had a number of significant arrests involving the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels. Some of their top leadership have been arrested and extradited here to the United States, and specifically here to New York City for prosecution. So we'll continue to fight those battles, and we'll continue to make those kinds of significant, impactful investigations. But we'll also work each and every day to educate the public, which is what we're doing now, but work with our families, our communities, our loved ones who have really just suffered through this crisis, so that we can, again, learn from them and evolve and continue to fight alongside of each other, to really make a difference in this opioid crisis. And what we say in DEA every day is that this is not a fight as much as it is a battle to make a difference. It's not a war, right? We say used to be that this is a war on drugs. This is not a war on drugs. This is a fight to save lives, a battle each and every day in the trenches to save another life. And every life that we save is a success and a victory that we celebrate. And to that end, we will never stop. We'll never stop until we drive down overdose deaths and poisonings to a minimal level, and that will be a difficult task, but we're willing to take on that task.
Because you're warriors. That's why, our hashtag, Frank, is community creates change at the Warriors. And I firmly believe, all the legislation in the world is terrific. We work on that, but you have to be with the people, that you have to get in and educate. You just opened up. I have two more quick questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
What
sure.
what is what is going on with that trank? because I have
Yeah.
friends in a lot of friends in Pennsylvania and the whole
Mhm.
Kensington area, and send me videos and pictures, and it's the most horrifying thing. And you mentioned a little bit about this before, but I'm so afraid we're going to see that on a really big mass scale.
Yeah.
That poison. What's going on with that exactly?
So, Lynn, much like pink cocaine as the street slang for 2CB, we're seeing trank, which is the slang for xylazine, which is a non-opioid sedative analgesic that is being mixed into a lot of drugs, specifically fentanyl. And it is deadly. It is deadly because it is not responsive to the antigen naloxone or Narcan. And when you mix those two drugs together, it increases the risks of overdoses and poisonings. And so, what we have seen is that this powder in liquid form of xylazine is making its way from other countries here to the United States and being widely sold and then mixed into a number of different drugs. And the drugs that we see today, Lynn, are just a cocktail of everything. It's really alarming. I've never seen it like this before. We have a lab in our division office here in New York City. I'm on the 8th floor. On the 7th floor, our laboratory, made up of 34 chemists, works each and every day to provide us with the information that we need to go out and make a difference. And when I go down to the lab and I learn that one glassine bag has fentanyl, meth, heroin, xylazine, all mixed into one little glassine, it's really disturbing to see that these polydrug mixtures are being marketed to polydrug users. And that's, again, the nimbleness and the creativity that these cartels, these drug traffickers are involved in. And we're always trying to combat that with our investigative work and certainly with our community outreach.
Unbelievable. I mean, they just throwing everything into the pot, not to make light of it, but to me that equals, death sentence. That equals,
Yeah.
Narcan can't fight trank. I mean, what is the outcome there? It is horrific what's going on, but I like that you said you're providing, hope. There is so much hope. There is so much great work being done by the DEA. Finish us up. I have a question, Frank.
Yeah.
Again, answer any way you see fit.
Yeah.
This work is mind consuming and time consuming and all of that. How do you and the agents really take care of yourselves? Because this is tough to see a lot of this stuff on it. You may not even realize it. You're so entrenched, but it can take a toll. How does everybody take care of themselves at the DEA?
It's a great question, Lynn. We have a mantra here, an ethos here in New York Division. It's people first, mission always, and we are focused on the people, and we are focused on our staff, our employees, our men and women who are charged with this incredible responsibility of keeping people safe and saving lives. And we try to take breaks when we can and really celebrate their successes and congratulate them for the incredible work that they do. But one of the things that has been really, really impactful, and I think perspective gaining, is we involve ourselves in these family summits. And I think it is equally important for the families and for our employees to be in that room and hear these stories from moms and dads, but also to receive from the moms and dads the thanks and appreciation that they have for the work that they do. And so it's very much a reciprocal relationship that we have entered into in this fight. And so I think anytime that we can take a step back and gain that perspective of the importance of the work that we do and appreciate that there are people who appreciate what we do, I think that keeps us both healthy and safe in our minds and in our work. And it is a dangerous job, but we're dedicated and committed, and we have a significant resolve to make this city and the country safer and healthier.
Well, Frank Tarentino, we at the Warriors support you, the DEA, all of the agents, all of the incredible, incredible, seriously amazing work keeping all of us safe. I mean, there is no bigger or better job. You are really providing a lot of hope to all of these families. You've really put the human touch, which I think is very important. I saw it for myself in the middle of Times Square with all of the families and all of the agents. Uh, that was a very overwhelming day actually for me, and I'm pretty tough to see the interaction, to see the love. It was actually love, and collaboration. And I was very happily surprised by all of that, because that's what makes things work. So, Frank, I'm going to let you go. I don't want to. We'll talk again soon, I hope.
Yep,
You're the special
absolutely.
agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration's New York Division, and so much more. I'm going to have everything in the body of this video, Frank, all of the take actions for people and charts and links and all of that. I want to thank you for joining us today, for taking the time, but really educating and sharing with us about all of these issues, the illicit fentanyl, pink cocaine, just the landscape of what's happening. Because again, our warriors hashtag is community creates change, and you and the DEA and everybody on all of your teams doing such amazing work. Thank you so much, Frank. You and everybody there are warriors, and we are here to help you in any way possible.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you to you and your warriors who are listening. And you are making a difference. You are making change happen. And we appreciate that. And we thank you for giving us a platform to share our information. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thanks, Frank. Let us speak again soon.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.